Hey, this is Pops, and yes, rewatching those Star Trek original series episodes this week is Court Martial. Something I didn't expect was a court drama in the middle of all this. So let's talk about this one. All right, I am Pops, and as you can tell from the background, I am quite the Star Wars guy, not necessarily the Trekkie, but I have to admit, I am enjoying the Star Trek rewatch experience. Going back to my childhood alongside my mom, watching these episodes every evening around dinner time. And this week was Court Martial. And before I get into more, I have to be honest, I love the opening shot. I don't think I even remember there was opening shots in the original series having the multiple ships like that side by side like that. Whoa, love that. And we get right into different things that are going on the Enterprise and what's going to happen with Kirk before this girl comes in. And there's charges about what Kirk has done. So we have something that's happened sort of like off screen, and the episode's going to kind of unpack that, and that Kirk had made decisions during this crisis and this ion storm, and basically it led to the death of a crewman that he has known for so long. So Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Finney dies during this crisis, and that's what's going on here. He's going to be held to account because there's an accusation that he hit the jettison the pod moment before the red alert, can go out of order, therefore breaking protocols, those kinds of things, and being held responsible accordingly. The one thing I like about this is it's about questioning Kirk's integrity. The one thing I also did like about this episode is that right away we're given more diversity and more interesting elements. It's not just the fact that Percy Rodriguez is a black guy and he's the Commodore, he's in charge. It's also the fact that he has a completely different personality and sort of approach to things. And even later in the episode, there's a moment where he's sort of like offering Kirk sort of like a plea deal, man. And I'm like, whoa, that was not what I expected. And that was kind of cool. I didn't remember sort of like the different designs of their tunics and things like that. I don't know how that evolves over the years and things like that, but that was pretty prominent and noticeable in this episode. So before we get to court, we're going to have a bar scene. So Kirk and McCoy are having a drink. Well, McCoy's doing the drinking, and he's face to face with sort of like the reality check of other officers responding to the Finney rumors and what's actually happening. I thought this was interesting that this would spread so fast, and it's like sort of like this commentary on coworkers and hearing rumors and those kinds of things. And then, of course, we get to the hot chick of the week is another person from Kirk's past who he's like had relationships with and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's okay. I don't know that I found her as appealing as some of the other characters in the past, but it works. And we have the commentary again. Kirk is going to face court martial, and he's about bring it on. Kirk is such an alpha guy. He's like the total stereotype of I didn't do anything wrong. I know what I did, hold me to account. Almost to a fault. Like there's literally a moment where you're like, holy cow, that can't be true. So I loved all of this. I thought this was a really good setup to everything. Yeah, there it is. There's the moment where he stands up to face him. Says, "Fine, bring your court case. I know what I did." Kirk is such a boss. I really don't get people who don't like Kirk. Like I can get if he's maybe not your favorite captain and you've got a preference for Picard or some of the others. That's fine. I don't understand if there's people out there who just like they hate Kirk. So moves quickly. This is his time with the girl and the lady in their time together. And basically, the big reveal here and the big setup is the fact that she's actually the prosecutor. She's basically giving him help and advice for the court case. That's how it's going. Oh, by the way, twist, bum, bum, bum. She's the lawyer that's going to try to get him. The entire premise of the episode kind of hinges, and here's the court case. So this is the crazy lawyer that she sends him to. I love the fact that it's all so retro. He has like books and books and more books, and it's about like the history of law and finding remote cases and having these bizarre takes on court that in legislation that people wouldn't really be used to in the Star Trek era, and that's kind of the angle on things. And here's the actual court in session. Kind of moves to them, and they go through their accusation with the computer, have their proceedings that kind of go through their thing with testimony, Spock explaining what's going on and what happened, that kind of thing. And they go through this. Here's another person. I think she's the equivalent of like the HR lady, and they kind of go through things with McCoy. And then they kind of had this big thing about like what's actually happening. There she is. She's the hot lady of the week. Is the prosecuting attorney, and then you get to Kirk himself. So we have this playback of the actual moments and the incident that's being discussed, and they can zoom in on the console. I don't know where all these cameras are. I love the fact that it's just sort of presumed that they can do these things in the future, and everyone's totally cool with it. Like everyone's totally cool with being spied on, like the whole time. So that's what's happening. And then, of course, the thing is they do it. The computer and the video shows what Kirk had done and the order he had done it, which would have made him guilty. It's like, I didn't do it, though. I did not do it. All right. The last half of the episode is you coming face to face with, is Kirk guilty or not? We're faced with Finney's orphan daughter now. This is the girl that lost her dad. And he's like, I didn't know your friendship with my dad. I feel bad for even making this an issue. Here's a lawyer going, I'm not sure what to do. And this is Spock breaking the machine. So there's this big spoiler, the big twist, right? And you don't totally get it at first. Spock is explaining it to McCoy, but it's way over his head in some ways. And then you sort of get how it's going to play out, where Spock's playing chess to the computer, and yet somehow Spock is winning. Not once, but I think he wins like 4 or 5 times. So something is wrong. Something is amiss with the computer. It shouldn't operate like this. And I think this is where the big twist is. Oh, wait, something's wrong with the actual computer system. And they have a testimony. This was a weird angle. Okay, let me get to this before we get to the testimony. The lawyer's take is face your accuser, which is the computer. This is sort of like the red light camera argument of today. Like you can't really face the accuser, the red light camera. So that's what they're going to try to play with as their angle. And then here Spock is sort of unraveling and unpacking the faultiness of the computer programming, winning at chess. Therefore, something is wrong. And then the decision and the move is take the court hearing to the Enterprise, because the theory is the only explanation is someone has altered the computer. And who would have altered the computer? Who had some ulterior motive to get back at Kirk? That would be Finney himself. Therefore, Finney is alive. Now, I don't know the exact timing. You guys in chat can sort that out for me, when this episode aired versus the popularity of a show called Perry Mason, which was this, routine courtroom drama of the week. Perry Mason was this attorney. It was sort of like a bump legal type show that's been kind of like spun off into a million versions in more modern times over the last few decades. But when I was a kid, it was a huge deal to watch Perry Mason, the Perry Mason, this kind of, and it had sort of a structure. And I think, I feel like this is like either an homage to Perry Mason or trying to get to those things, or just literally like a script. The Perry Mason script went over to the Star Trek people and they rewrote it for this to appeal. I don't know. I don't exactly know how this ended up in Star Trek lore, because it's like 2 different episodes. All of this time has been spent to get to this moment where there's like a big thing from courtroom drama to now actual Star Trek drama, which is somebody's actually alive. Bones goes around with this little monitor to basically just get rid of heart rates, which, by the way, I thought Spock had 2 hearts, but at this point in the lore, he may not have 2 hearts, but they only do it one time on Spock. I thought he had 2 hearts. Anyway, they take away the hearts. Long story short, is Finney still out there somewhere? Kirk goes, which really none of this is believable at this point. So the latter half of this is where it gets kind of absurd. Why you wouldn't just, the moment there's a certain person, they have it all on lockdown, you'd bring in like a security team of 12, 15, 20 people. You wouldn't be some mano a mano Kirk versus the guy, allowing for more hearsay and more conjecture. But it makes for fun TV. It makes for fun drama. It makes for that kind of stuff. And it just becomes Kirk and this guy wrestling it out. Look at that, ripping away. Isn't there always a way they show Kirk's chest? Was Shatner's chest this impressive in the 60s? I never have looked at Shatner, even in these episodes, and thought to myself, dude is so impressive. I can see why they show him off compared to now, where you can see why there's going to be an obligatory shot of Chris Hemsworth or Ryan Gosling. Was Shatner that impressive? Was he like the Gosling Hemsworth of his time? And then it kind of concludes and it's all wrapped up. And then we have the Enterprise that, kind of flies away for the week. Because, of course, Finney gets subdued. All right. Yeah, I'm very meh on this one. Courtroom drama, Star Trek are not 2 things that I enjoy going together. I don't think the show lends itself well to this. I know there's more this coming up soon, but I remember that one a lot more than this. Was totally forgetful for me. I actually had to kind of like pull up a couple notes to make sure I knew Finney's name and stuff. That's how little engagement I had with some of the details in this. It isn't terrible, and it does fit in the lore, and it has a good commentary on legal structure, how things operate, court martial, how quickly someone would be called to account for their actions. I think that's like in the preciousness of life. Like, oh, we lost this person, we need to investigate. I think all of that was great commentary for the show and for its time. So with that said, it becomes TV for me and Star Trek. But here we go. That's my take on it. Love to hear from you guys. You guys will tell me I'm crazy or not. Maybe this is one of the best episodes ever. Maybe it's one of the worst episodes ever. I don't know. This is me just giving you my sort of like noob reaction. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, everybody. I am Pops.